Hi everyone, welcome back to the Navigant Credit Union Broadcast Center. Just heard from Ray Rickman, former state rep, as he does every Thursday, gives us Rickman's big view. Appreciate him coming in. We've got a full lineup for you here today of news and politics. We're going to kick off now after Ray with Speaker of the House, Nicholas Mattiello, is in the studio. Speaker, thanks for coming in.
Hi Kate, thanks for having me.
You've been here before?
I have, always a pleasure.
You know the drill. We wanted to give folks an update. Here we are. August is wrapping up. We're looking at the special session going back in. Talk with us a little bit, especially where things currently stand with the car tax. We knew that was sort of one of the points of discussion and debate when the budget was finalized and how this House and the Senate both approached it. But, you know, to the average person, what happened at the Assembly that's going to impact them?
Well, that's one of my favorite things to talk about. As we all know, Rhode Island has the highest car tax in the country, and we just passed in this budget a 6-year phase-out. Cranston, Warwick, and every municipality in the state is seeing reductions in their car tax bill. Cranston and Warwick held off. That's why I mentioned those two communities. And I heard from a lot of constituents yesterday because our bills just went out, and people are very pleased that their bills are reduced. And the 6-year plan is in the law, and I intend on fully funding it for those 6 years, and we're gonna make sure that that people are very, very happy. None of us want to pay the highest in the country, and we want our state to be competitive, and I certainly have listened for the last 10 years and made sure that we got it done on everybody's behalf. So I'm very pleased, and I'm glad that our taxes are going to be reduced.
Okay, so we saw the budget accomplished, we saw the car tax addressed, but going back into session in September, what do you anticipate? How long do you anticipate it taking?
I don't know. Quite frankly, I've got to talk to the Senate President, my leadership team, and now that we're approaching fall and Labor Day, we're gonna start refocusing on our September 19 session. I anticipate that the bills that we were looking at the end of session we'll address. Because of the budget, we didn't address some of the work that we all wanted to, so we're coming back to do that. And there's some important bills. There's the domestic violence bill that's very important. It's important to a lot of folks, including myself. I really want to get that done. And there's a sick leave bill that a lot of folks want to pass, and that bill will also get done. And there's a lot of other things that are important to a lot of different people. So we'll start to refocus and come back in the fall like we don't usually do, but we're not going to stop doing the people's work till our work is done.
And talking about coming back and what's going on, any talk of any veto overrides?
No, I mean a lot of folks ask that, and you know, there's the evergreen bill for the teacher contracts, and I've got to talk to the Senate President, my leadership team, my colleagues in the House, and other folks. So we'll see where that goes. No determinations have been made yet.
Okay. And of course, everyone's talking about the PawSox, what could potentially happen. What's your take?
My take is that we'll ultimately have hearings in the House. I know the Senate is scheduling some hearings, and it's going to go where the citizens of the state of Rhode Island want it to go. So, you know, we'll see. I don't know right now. That's one. I'm going to talk to the Senate President. I'm going to talk to my colleagues in the House, my leadership team, my constituents, and just as many people as I can. I want to get a sense of where people are on this issue, and we'll see how the hearing goes on it, and then we'll start to make determinations. But the PawSox is going to go in the direction that the people of the state of Rhode Island intend and want it to go in, and we'll have to figure out what that is.
And so the hearing's strictly in the jurisdiction of the Senate. So is the ball in their court, so to speak?
No, what I said is I know they're planning to schedule their hearings. We're going to hold some hearings in the House on it.
Okay.
I haven't determined when that's going to be yet. So it may be shortly before the 19th, and it may be after that. But I don't expect that anything will happen with the PawSox other than a Finance Committee hearing. prior to the 19th or on the 19th.
Have you been following what's been going on up in Worcester about, their discussions up there and what they're hearing? Apparently this past week, doesn't seem like they've got much of an appetite for public subsidies up there.
I have not been following it that closely. I know they're interested. I know it's in the infancy stages, and we in Rhode Island, we've been beyond the infancy stages for some time. So I'm not concerned that anything would happen there in the immediate future, but there's a level of interest, and I believe there's interest elsewhere. So we're going to have to make our own independent determination in the state of Rhode Island.
Let's talk to something that's been in the news this past week, and it's not the jurisdiction of the Assembly per se, but what's happened with St. Joseph's pension bankruptcy. We've been waiting to hear from the Attorney General's office, his role in this. He pointed out that the General Assembly didn't give the Attorney General the powers to oversee how the pension is managed there. Do you have concerns about what had taken place and how the state is going to react moving forward?
Well, I'm not sure I agree with that assessment. He certainly had the authority, and they should have been looking at that. If he has specific concerns, please bring it to my attention and we'll address it. Nobody's ever brought any concerns to my attention that they needed more authority relative to the hospital's pension plan. And the Attorney General was a member of the General Assembly for a very, very long time, and I don't believe made any suggestions relative to that. So, I'm not sure what happened, but when pension systems are not funded appropriately, folks get hurt, and I've heard from constituents, there's a lot of folks that have worked all their lives and depend upon their pension check. So that's something that has to be looked at, and if anybody needs any tools, we stand ready to provide them with those tools. But I look forward to see what the Attorney General has to say, and look forward to what the root causes of the problems are and how they're being addressed at this time.
Mm-hmm. And just this past week, we saw, let's go to some Assembly politics. We saw Senator Don Ewart win down in Newport. Obviously on the more progressive side of the Democratic Party. This past election, we saw Ranglin Vassell defeat DeSimone. Is the Assembly moving more left?
Oh, I don't know. We'll see. While I've been there, it's moved a little right, it's moved a little left. Sometimes there's push towards a little more conservatism, and then it becomes liberal again. I think it's more cyclical than anything else. So we'll see what the next election cycle brings. I think the citizens of the state of Rhode Island are on average moderate, and that's what most of us are. And I think that's where I'm comfortable being. I can look at some issues that are a little more conservative and see the merit in them, and also some that are a little more liberal and see the merit in them. So it depends on the issue from my point of view. I don't like to pigeonhole myself and identify myself relative to my politics. I try to be analytical with all of the issues, and I think that's where most people should be. So we'll see how the next election cycle goes. But Dan Ewart is a great person. I've worked with her, so it doesn't surprise me that she won. And sometimes it's just, it doesn't matter if you're liberal or conservative, it's the quality of the candidate.
Again, election season already upon us. Of course, we're all looking at 18 and what happens, but you're going to have a sort of short break. You're going to be in session in September and then back in again in January. Is it too soon to even begin to think what the 18 General Assembly session is going to look like?
It goes by fast, so we'll see. But it's a public service that I love, so I'm constantly looking ahead and looking to see what the 18 General Assembly will look like, and we'll see where the public wants us to go with the session, where my colleagues want us to go, and all the representatives and senators, and some of the direction comes from the leadership, and a lot of the direction comes from all of my colleagues in the House and the rank and file in the Senate. So we all come together and we listen to our constituents, and that's how it's defined. For me, it's always the budget. The budget is the most important document and our most important work product. So I always try to work with our Finance Committee and craft a good budget for the state that moves us in the right direction, helps promote job creation.
And so, again, looking ahead, do you think that we'll be on a better fiscal standing next year than we were? Obviously, faced that big shortfall this year. got to look at see what obviously revenues end up looking like. But what's your expectation?
I certainly hope so. I don't have an expectation. If you forced me to bet, I would suggest that we're not going to have the shortfall we had. That was a little unexpected. I'm hoping it was an aberration, and we'll move forward from there, and our revenues will come back. And we'll see. All the indicators seem to be moving in the right direction. Our job numbers are higher than they've been in a very long time. So I think the state is moving in the right direction, and a lot of the foundational work that we've been doing over the last several sessions are starting to take root, and we're getting the benefits of it. So, I think the General Assembly has done a lot of work from when I first got elected Speaker. It's been jobs in the economy. We've been lowering taxes. We've been incentivizing job growth, and I believe that the state is slowly moving in the right direction, and I'm hoping we see the fruits of that in the next revenue numbers.
Well, we're going to be continuing to see what happens up at the Assembly with your back in September. Anything else you want to share with viewers while you're here in studio? No,
I just, enjoy the rest of the summer. It's going by rather quickly. I'm glad we've got a stretch of good weather, and, stay in touch with your representatives and senators. I'm always honored and really like hearing from my constituents. Please reach out to us, let us know what's important, and we'll do our best to effectuate your will at the General Assembly.
Okay, Speaker, appreciate as always having you here in studio. I know you need to take off. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Okay.
We'll be back.
Okay, thanks, Speaker. Speaker of the House, Nicholas Mattiello, here in studio, giving us a little update as to what to expect when the General Assembly goes back in September for a special session. Not very often that they do so, tackling some unfinished business, potential for hearings for PawSox. Starting on the Senate side, he said potential as well on the House side as well. Had some things to say about the St. Joseph pension bankruptcy and recent statements made today by Attorney General Peter Kilmartin. And of course, looking ahead at the 18th General Assembly session as well. So usually it's pretty quiet this time of the year up there, but not so this year. We're going to continue to keep an eye on what's taking place up there. Appreciate the Speaker taking the time to come into the Navigant Credit Union broadcast.